Howdy, howdy. I just want to do a quick little video on capacitors. I know that this is something that helped me a lot in the air conditioning season. This is pretty standard, simple, basic knowledge, but some people obviously don't know, or they're just starting out, or homeowners or whatever. They're not aware how to check capacitors or identify weak or faulty ones or whatever. So I figured I'd just make a quick video to explain how you can find a bad capacitor in an AC system. So let's just do it. Alrighty, so in every air conditioner system, residential, commercial, whatever, you have a capacitor inside. What this does, I can't speak. So what this does is basically, I look at it as almost like a jump starter. So if this is mounted inside of the electrical compartment on a condenser. Usually on these capacitors, you have 3 terminals. So this is a dual capacitor. So you have on this side with the 4 terminals, that's your common, and this is actually marked too, you can see right here. So there's C for common. The one with the 3 terminals is your HERM, which is your compressor. And the 2 terminals is your fan. So you have your condenser fan, you have your compressor, and you have your common. So that's pretty straightforward. This is your information label here or whatever, which has all the specs of it. Capacitors are measured in microfarads, not volts or amps or whatever. They're measured in microfarads. This one is rated for, as you can see on the sticker, it says 60 plus 5 microfarads. That's that UF, that little weird looking U thing, plus or minus 6%. So manufacturers usually give some wiggle room, either 3% or 6% I've seen. So what that means is if you are, under, if you're, so say this is 60 and you take 6% of 60 and you subtract that number from 60, if it's at that point or lower, then it's time to get swapped out because it's weak. So real quick, obviously you can see it's a nice flush top. There's no bubbles, anything like that in there. And I'm going to show you real quick how to test these so that you can do it out in the field. So ignore the garbage in my van because, work van, fun times. I have my Klein meter here. I have a Fluke meter, but I didn't know it didn't have freaking microfarads on it. This one does, so I'm just going to use this one real quick if I can get it to stay. So there's our meter. On the meter, usually your microfarads, that's your little icon right there. It's like a sideways T, something, whatever you want to call that. So we're going to set that to there. Should be at 0 or whatever. This is a 1 for some reason. But what you want to do is when checking your capacitor, like I said, the one with the 4 terminals, that's your common. So you want to go from common to each other one. So you want to go from common to HERM, and you want to go from common to fan. So if you go to common to HERM or compressor, that'll give you that should say 60 on this one. And if you go from common to fan, this should say 5. So most of the time, or all the time, your compressor number is going to be higher than your fan number because the compressor takes more to start. So let's take our leads right here. We're going to go from common. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. I'm going to try to figure it out here. So we're going to go from common. So I can see common to HERM, and that'll give us 60. So you see that right there? That's a good common side, or good compressor side. So we're going to do the same thing with the fan here. Go from common to fan. That should say 5. And there it is, 5.08. So this is a good capacitor. So this is holding the proper amount of microfarads. This should work. This should start up your compressor and fan, and you shouldn't have any issues on that side. So that's a good capacitor. This, as you can see, looks a little bit different. This is one that I just took off of a unit. Service call had no AC. The outdoor condenser was not running, wasn't doing anything, but she went outside and she said the AC unit was very hot, but nothing was running. So same deal. As you can see, here's your info plate. This one is a 35 for the compressor and a 5 for the fan. You have 3 terminals. There's your common with the 4, there's your compressor with the 3, and there's your fan with the 1 or the 2 or whatever. So upon first inspection of this, you can see the difference between the other capacitor and this one. You can see the top is bubbled really bad. Anytime you see a capacitor that's bubbled like that, it's no good. So like I said, on the good one, the new one, see how flush that is? There's no imperfections, there's no bubbles or anything. It's very flush. This one is just a disaster. So we're going to do a quick test on this one just to verify that's bad. I know it is because I replaced it and it worked. And I also know that if you see bubbles on the top, that means it's basically dead. So, but just to verify, let's do the same test with the meter. As you can see, we're going from common to HERM, and we have 0. So that just verifies. I already knew it was dead. Same thing on the fan. I mean, it's just gonna all be dead because it's just done inside. But yeah, so that's just a clear indication. Like I said, if you go, you know, if your AC unit or whatever, or AC unit that you're going to isn't running at all, pop the cover off and just look at the capacitor real quick. Make sure it's not bubbled up or anything, and do the microfarad test. That'll verify if it's good or bad. This is a very common part to go bad on condensers, so it wouldn't be a bad idea to know how to test them. So that's why I wanted to make this quick little video. Obviously, not the most professional video, not the most thorough, but it gets the job done, and I hope you know what I'm talking about. So anyway, that's a bad one, and yeah.